Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about adding and subtracting rational numbers. So now we know how to add and subtract integers. Now we get to add and subtract rational numbers, talking about fractions, talking about decimals. I hope you're excited like I am because I love math. So very first thing, please simplify. Don't divide. Simplify these first few problems. Just simplify 21 14ths, 12 30ths, and 24 56, and then write the fraction in simplest form for these next two, for 4 and 5. So pause now, give these 5 a shot, sorry. All right, so if you look at this, 21 14ths can all be divided by 7, and when you divide by 7 on each side, you will, on the top and the bottom, you will get 3 over 2. You can leave it as 3 over 2. If you want to change it to a mixed number, it would be 1 1/2. Okay, 12 30ths can be divided by 6. So divide by 6 on both sides, and you get 2 fifths. 2 fifths. 24 56, I'm cruising through this, can be divided. And again, if you don't divide it by the same number I do, that's fine, because you might break it up a little bit more, but can be divided by 8. And our answer is going to be 3/7. Don't forget that you can divide that last one, divide by 2 again, then divide by 2 a third time, and that will also give you 3/7. Just break it down as slowly as you need to, or as fast as you need to, but the answers will still be the same. All right, 4 and 5, we have 1 1/15. If you look at that, what place value is that 15 in? It is in the hundredths place value. So you have 115 over 100. The other way you could have done it is 1 15 hundredths. Sorry, 15 hundredths. Okay, so then when you break this down, you will get, we can divide both of these by 5. Divide by 5, divide by 5, and you will get 115 divided by 5 is going to be 23 over 20. On the bottom, it would be 1, and divide by 5 again, 3/20. So both of these would be acceptable answers, 23/20 or 1 3/20. Number 5, a negative 0.22. What place value is that last 2 in? Hundredths, so it's a negative 22 over 100. We can divide this and break it down. Again, divide by 2 here. And when we divide by 2, we get 11 over 50. But don't forget that it is negative. Negative 11 over 50, because that negative still stays in there. All right? Awesome. Today we are going to be adding and subtracting decimals and rational numbers with like denominators. So we're not going to get into unlike denominators today, just like denominators. So the very first one, finding the sum. Remember, we are going to be using, we're going to be answering this problem, okay, just like we would any other problem. Now, with decimals, it throws a little monkey wrench into it, okay? When you subtract or add decimals, the biggest thing that you need to do is you need to line up your decimals if you're going to do it vertically, okay? And now we have 1.2 and we have 0.3. Okay? Now, the other thing that you have to remember, we're not just dealing with adding or subtracting decimals, but we're dealing with adding and subtracting positive and negative decimals, which tosses another monkey wrench into it. Don't forget those rules that we started talking about with integers. Adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. When we add here, we're adding a negative number, which is the same thing, because remember, when we talk about different signs, find the difference when we add. So different signs, find the difference. So we are going to be subtracting here. So 1.2 minus 0.3, you get 0.9. However, go back into the problem and see, all right, 0.3 or negative 1.2. Which one's farthest away from 0? It is that negative 1.2 is farthest away from 0, so my answer is a negative 0.9. You don't need that 0 in front of that 0.9, or you just use that negative 0.9 or a negative 0.9. Again, don't forget your rules when it comes to adding two numbers, adding positive and negative numbers. Okay, You still have to use those rules, and I want you to make sure that you remember them because you're going to be building on those rules. Okay? All right, so now I want you to try this one, 1.5 and a negative 1.8. So pause now, give this one a shot. All right, so again, looking at it, we have a positive 1.5, we have a negative 1.8. So what do? Well, they have different signs, so we find the what? Difference. Difference. Find the difference. Find the difference if they're different signs. Find the difference if they're different signs. So we have 1.8 minus 1.5. Subtract, going straight down, you get 3, 0. Bring down your decimal right there. Notice, I forgot to mention this. Oh my goodness, Mr. Sheeman, what are you doing? You have to line up your decimals. It is very, very, very important that you line up your decimals when you're adding or subtracting decimals. Line up those decimals so you can get the correct answer. So line up the decimals. All right? So now we have 0.3. The question is it positive or negative? So tell me, is it positive or negative? Tell the person next to you, positive or negative. Now that tell that person, or say it out loud, explain why that's true. All right, so hopefully you said it was going to be a negative 0.3 because my negative 1.8 is farther away from 0, which means it's a negative 0.3 because negative 1.8 is negative. All right, sweet. Next. You don't have to write this down, but this is going to be talking about adding and subtracting fractions with like denominators. The biggest thing that you have to worry about, the biggest thing is, do you have a common denominator? When you have a common denominator, that means that you can add or subtract the numerators. The numerators being your top number, denominators being your bottom number. Instead of using top and bottom, we use their actual names in pre-algebra, numerators and denominators. So when you have your numerators, and we're just going to put num. Okay, your numerators are your top, denum, or denom, for bottom. Okay, so if you look at this, you add your numerators or subtract your numerators, you keep the same denominator. I will say that one more time. You add or subtract your numerators going straight across, you keep the same denominator. Okay, if you look at here, we have 1/5 plus a negative 4/5. Okay, you add 1 plus a negative 4, so when you do that, you actually get a negative 3. But notice how I kept the same denominator the entire way. I get a negative 3/5 because 1 plus a negative 4 is a negative 3. Okay? You could write it like that. You could also write it negative 3/5. That is also the exact same thing. But just remember, you add or subtract your numerators, you keep the same denominator. Okie dokie, artichoke. Here we go. So find the sum, make sure you write down the directions. Find the sum, add 1/5 plus 2/5. Pause now, give it a shot. All right, 1/5 plus 2/5. Keep the same denominator. Add your numerators. You get 3/5. Make sure it is in simplest form. Is 3/5 in simplest form? You betcha. You betcha, you betcha, you betcha. Okay, so if you look at that, 1 plus 2 is 3. We keep the denominator as 5. Easy one to start off with. Now it's time to get a little tougher. Okay, remember subtracting is the same thing as adding, its opposite. Don't forget, 3 minus 5 is the same thing as taking 3 plus a negative 5. Do not forget that point. Add its opposite, add its opposite, add its opposite. I could keep singing the song, and it's still wonderful. Add its opposite. Okay, so if you look at this, I want you to add or subtract going from left to right. Make sure you have the same denominator. Come up with your answer. All right, so if you do this, very first one, your denominator is 7. We keep 7. Now I take 6 plus a negative 3, and I get a positive 3/7. 6 plus a negative 3 is a positive 3. Okay, remember, subtracting is the same thing as what? Add its opposite, add its opposite, da, 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 add its opposite, add its opposite. Opposite of positive 5/9 is a negative 5/9. keep your denominator the same. You end up getting -2 plus a -5, which is -7. Now, you may be wondering, Mr. Sheeman, do I really need to show that work? Oh my goodness. On these types of problems, you don't really need to show your work because you should be able to read it straight across. You do not need to show this. I just show you so you know the way your brain should be thinking. However, if you want to show that, absolutely, and it'd be a great thing. Okay? Just make sure if you know how to get this answer for these, you do not need to show your work. All right? Okay. 2 more slides. Please pause now. Make sure you plug things in correctly. Line up your decimals and answer. So pause and answer. All right. So if you look at this, we take this a -0.1, plug it in, plug it in, plug it in. Have you ever seen those commercials? I guess the Glad commercials that plug it in. Or maybe it's plug-in. I don't know. Okay, anyways, not off TV. Back to math. Okay, so when you do this, you get 12.1 minus a -0.1. When you do this, what do we do when we're subtracting? Subtracting is the same thing as add its opposite, add its opposite, add its opposite. Dream about that song. Add its opposite, 12.1 plus 0.1. Lined up our decimals, line them up, line them up, line them up, knock them down. You get 2, bring down your decimal, 2, 1, 12.2 is our answer. Answer this, riddle me this. Okay, 12.2 is our answer. Fantastic. This is the last one of the day. Make sure you write this down. You can pause now, give this one a shot. Good luck. All right, so here's the last one of the day. We have a 7/10 plus m, which is m is 3 1/10. There's several ways that you can do this. I will show you 2 ways. Okay, so if you take this, if you want to add 3 1/10 plus 7/10. Okay, again, the biggest thing you need to do is for here, you can keep this. You're going to add straight up and down. You get 8/10. 1/10 plus 7/10 is 8/10, and 3 plus 0 is 3. Make sure it is in simplest form. So you get 3 4/5 if you want to add it vertically. Sometimes you like to add vertically, and that's fine. The other way to do this is add horizontally. Okay, and the way you do that, you could add, and I'm going to take 3 1/10 is the same thing when I convert this into an improper fraction as 31/10. You can leave fractions as improper fractions. I am okay with that. I am okay with that. I will say that one more time. I am okay with leaving it as an improper fraction. So when you do that, common denominator, which we got, is 10. Because we do that, we now can add 7 plus 31, which is 38/10. Make sure, is that in simplest form? No. I hope you're shaking your head. No. No, it's not. So when you do that, you can divide by 2, and your answer will be 19/5. 19/5 and 3 4/5 are the exact same answer. That's the exact same thing. I will accept both. So whichever way your brain thinks, please do so. All right? That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day. Bye.